Hi, good morning everybody. Welcome to today's webinar, End of Financial Year using QuickBooks Online. How cool is this? Welcome to our first or our inaugural online virtual conference. It's pretty exciting. It's a new format for me, so if I fumble around a little bit today, bear with me. If my phone drops out at any point, you'll still see my screen. I will call back. I will call back straight away, so I'm with Telstra, anything can happen. So if I do drop out, I will call back. There is a chat box. You should be able to put in some questions. Again, new format for me, so hopefully you can see on the screen a chat box. Pop any questions you have in along the way. We've got 50 minutes this morning to go through everything, so I'll try and fit it all in. There's lots to talk about. Our first slide here, we've got the CPD process. So the session is eligible for 1 hour of CPD. So you must stay on the session for the duration of the training. There will be CPD polling questions that will be pushed out, and I will push the first 2 out, or the person helping me today on the other end is Jessica, who will push those out for us. So there'll be 3 polling sessions throughout the session, 2 at the start and 1 at the very end. And you will receive an email after this session ends stating whether or not you qualified for your CPD. And then the CPD certificates will be emailed directly to you within 7 days of the conference. So just to introduce myself, my name's Leanne Davis. So if hopefully you've been on one of my webinars before, the certification training or advanced certification, I'm here today to talk to you about end of financial year process using QuickBooks Online. I'm a bookkeeper, BAS agent and a trainer for Intuit. I'm based in Albury, New South Wales, but today I'm lucky enough to be sitting in the Intuit head office looking out the window at the Sydney Harbour Bridge, which is awesome, a great environment. So Jessica is just, Jessica, I just got a comment up that there's no sound, so maybe will you check that, hopefully? If anyone else can hear me, if you just want to pop into the chat whether you can hear me okay. Let me know everyone else can hear me and that it's not Grant's technology. I'll keep going. So I'm a bookkeeper, BAS agent, trainer, and a part of the Intuit's Trainer Writer Network. So working with QuickBooks every day. So the topics we're going to cover today are topics to be covered: end of year reconciliation reports, reconciling accounts for end of year, lots of reconciling loan and intercompany loans, accounts receivable, accounts payable, your inventory, stock taken write-offs, reconciling super and PAYG, reconciling GST and your end of year adjustments. Okay, so everyone can hear me fine. Awesome, great. Thanks everybody. Fantastic, thank you. So today I'm not showing you any bookkeeping processes. I'm just in QuickBooks Online showing you the quickest and the best way that the reporting and things like that, and how you would use QuickBooks Online, and kind of my way as well. I try and do everything the quickest way possible. So just a few little tips and tricks on and the best ways to do your end of year reconciliation. If you're on, and hopefully you've already been into the networking group in the live, lost my words, into the virtual conference and chatted to people in there. If you are on social media, send out a few tweets and let everybody know where you're at. There was a hashtag in the webinar, in the conference, that for the tweets. If you're in the Facebook group, pop up in there too, let everybody know what's going on and how you're enjoying the conference as well. So now we're just going to put out the first polling question to you. So you'll just have a couple of minutes to answer this polling question. If you could do that. And lots of familiar names this morning. Morning everybody, while you're doing that. Okay, I think we're done now. Yep. Jessica, are we right to go? Oh, we're still going. Still going. Okay, I think we're good to go now. So we just got one other polling question on the next one, and then we'll get into the demo. So we'll send that one out to you as well. Just give you a couple of minutes for that one. So this question, where do you feel the biggest gap in your knowledge is? So we're on par. Integrating apps has just gone up. That's the biggest gap in our knowledge. And then QuickBooks use is second, if anyone's wondering. So almost up to 50% on integrating apps. That's interesting. Oh, no, QuickBooks use is going up again. Cool, that's why we're here today, to show you QuickBooks use. Okay, so I think we've finished those now. So now this is going to test me. I'm going to get into the demo now. So I'm just going to bring up my screen. I'm going to live share my screen. I'm going to bring this one over. And hopefully now, everything on sec. New technology, love it. And now you can see my my QBO file. So I'm logged into a client's file today just through my QBOA, and we're just going to start. Oops, there's no handout. There will be a handout available at the end of the session. I know if you're in the Facebook group, Chris is organising that, so we'll have that up. But we'll be able to get the handout on, or the blog on what I've gone through today as well as the checklist that I'm using. So just to start off, I'll just show you a checklist. It's just a really basic checklist. And like I said, I'm just going through just a really basic way of not too much. I don't like too much work. I think some things can be really overthought, and this is just a really basic way of doing a checklist and going through end of financial year process. So for my client, I've got my checklist here and the accounts I'm going to reconcile. So you can just have this blank, just a blank spreadsheet, make up all the different bank accounts for each client, all your balance sheet accounts that you want to reconcile, and then just go through, your statement balance, your QBO balance, and any notes that you want to make along the way. So the first thing would just be going through and creating the reports for these kind of reconciliations. One of the really cool features with QBO is the report tool. So if you haven't seen this before, the report tool is on your accountant toolbox, where you can go in and set your dates for your report. So then once you set your dates, the majority of the reports that you then run will run within that period. So if you're in May or June and you're getting your reports ready for the end of financial year to do your checks, you can come in here and do so this financial year to date. And you've also got your reconciliations. Yeah.
Hi, this is Jess. It doesn't appear that your screen share is connected. Can you go back and try to connect it again?
Yes. My screen's not sharing. So if you can hear me, apparently my screen's not sharing. So obviously you guys have put up some questions about that. So here we go. It's just coming up now, hopefully. Okay, so my system just disconnected from the server. Bear with me a sec, I'll get this up and going again. Not doing anything. Give me 1 second, I'll just get it going again, won't be a moment. Jessica?
Okay. Are you seeing a prompt to connect your screen?
Yeah, I did connect that. It says your system disconnected from the share server. Please check your network connection and try again.
Okay. Try to refresh your screen, and we'll see if you can reconnect and try it again.
Okay. So everyone just have a chat amongst yourselves.
Okay, I'm seeing it now. You should be ready to go. Just continue following the screen prompts.
Okay, so you can see it now. Awesome. There we go. Okay, now we can breathe again. All right. Let's get back into it. So on your, if you didn't see the start, so what I was talking about, I'm in my my client's file now through my QBOA. I've got my accountant tools up on my top toolbar, and on the accountant tools I have report tools. So if you haven't seen this before, it's a really cool feature where you can go in and set your report dates. So for all the reports that you run, or majority of reports that you run, they will all run with those report dates. So I can set the date to this financial year to date. So if I'm working on the reports before I end the financial year, I would set this financial year to date, and then whether a cash or accrual basis that you want to have your reporting on. And then underneath here I can check my reconciliation status. So see where all of the accounts are that I would normally reconcile through my reconciliation screen, see where they're at. Sorry, it's got boxes coming up and just making sure everything's okay. So yes, so you can see exactly where they're at and what work you need to do on that file for the accounts that you would normally reconcile. So you can reconcile most of your accounts within your balance sheet. You can reconcile. So if you've got some clearing accounts, your payroll clearing accounts, any clearing accounts that you've got set up, you'll be able to reconcile those accounts. So I set my report dates for this financial year to date for the first lot of reports that I'm going to run, and then come to my reports tab. So last year I did end of financial year webinar, and I set up my reports for my end of financial year, and I have those already here. So you'll only need to ever set those up once when you do your end of financial year. So if this is the first time you're doing end of financial year in QBO, you'll be able to run those reports, save them, customize them, have them as a end of financial year reports. And then next year when you're coming to do it, you can run all those reports. You won't have to go in and create those reports again. But I'll go in and create them again today just to show you how you can do that and create those sets. I've also got my for accountant review, and I'll make a couple of reports for the client review as well. So to go in, depending on what reports you want and depending on what your process is and what your checklist is, so everybody will have a different process depending you know, whether you're using a particular system, you'll have your own process. Go in and create your report. So this is just the process that I use. So a couple of reports that I would run would be my profit and loss, my age receivables, age payables, inventory valuation report, maybe my trial balance and my balance sheet. So if we come in and you might have one set for this financial year today, and then once you're ready to do in a financial year, have the ones with this for last financial year as well. So if you have a look at my custom reports, I've got all of these ones for this financial year to date. So I'll go in and create the ones for last financial year. So if I come in, which would be nice to set up in you're doing those in July, go in and set them up in July to run those. So I'm just going to reset my date. So this financial year, last financial year, and set that. I'll come back to my reports now. On my recommended, I'm going to run my balance sheet. So that's my end of financial year for last financial year. So you can see it's running last financial year, and I'm just going to save that customization. So I'm going to add a new group. I'll call it 20. Just to get the difference. So set up your group. If you haven't done groups before, if you haven't already had one, just click on the add new group and you can add a new group there. I'll actually add a new group. Add that. If you can share them if you like. So if you're a bookkeeper, you've got your accountant logging in and for him to be able to run them, you can share them with everybody and just save that. So now you've created that new group and go in and run all of the other reports that you want to run for that period as well. So your profit and loss, just save that customization to that group and save that. So the other reports we might run are, what else are we doing? So maybe a trial balance. Find my trial balance. Save that customization. So you get the idea. You can go in really quickly, set up your reports. You've got it for last financial year. You'll never have to go in and set those reports up again. You'll have them under your custom reports, and they'll just sit there waiting for you to come back next year. So these are the ones I've just set up now. I can run them all at once if I want to export them as a PDF, or I can click into each one individually to have a look at the detail and go through and check my accounts. This is my demo company. It's a really ugly chart of accounts. My clearing accounts are all out of whack, which you'll see. Those bookkeepers out there will not like looking at this balance sheet. Okay, so you run your balance sheet, you're checking your bank account, so we're going back to your checklist, get your balances, so get your balances from QBO to fill into your checklist, all the different bank accounts, your credit card accounts. I'm going to come back to my checklist here. I'll fill in your QBO balance here, and then you can go back when you reconcile your accounts, your accounts receivable, accounts payable, go through and fill in those amounts from your balance sheet to go back and reconcile to the different sections. To reconcile your accounts, again, just up into your toolbox, accountant toolbox, your reconcile. The new reconciliation screen's been turned on now, so hopefully you'll have this new reconciliation screen, which is pretty cool. You'll be able to see, so you can see here on mine, my beginning balance doesn't match my ending balance. Someone's changed something along the way. Another thing that really helps at your end of year reconciliation, if your client has gone back and changed something, it'll let you know. You won't have to go looking for it and go looking to find out what's going on in your accounts. It'll actually let you know that something has been changed. So you can click onto your account history under your bank reconciliation, and you've got the changes coming up. So this is where I can click in and see where those changes are. And see what's going on and go back and fix them. You can undo your reconciliations. If you need to fix those up, a little tab here, undo them. So where they have been reconciled incorrectly or changes have been made in that period, you can undo that as well. You can go through and reconcile all your different accounts. So as I said, anything on your balance sheet. So if you've got any clearing accounts, Just trying to find some. Here I've got my rental clearing account. I can go in and reconcile, so I haven't reconciled that one before. My beginning balance, my ending balance, and it'll get my ending date. So if you're doing it for the 12-month period, I'll start reconciling and go through. Obviously, you want to hopefully get that back to zero. If you've got any transactions, I don't have any transactions in there. Let's get that back. Go through and reconcile all of your clearing accounts through there as well. Reconciling your credit cards, it's exactly the same as reconciling your bank accounts. So coming in and, reconciliation screen, picking up, your credit cards will pop up in this account section here as well, and you can go in and reconcile your credit cards. Again, just filling those out on your form. Reconciling your loans and intercompany loans. Another handy trick for your intercompany loans, if you're running both companies in QBO, just open up in another browser. So I'm using Chrome now. I would open up my QBOA in Firefox. Oops. I have those on both screens, so on two screens, and have the both companies on both screens, one screen each, and reconcile those back and forth at the same time. Another pretty handy thing with the loan accounts, if you've got, depending on what kind of loan account it is, go into your company loan, into your chart of accounts, and get an account history. You can export that out into Excel. So just to find one in here, pick anything. I'll just pick that. So go into your account history. You can export that into Excel, and if you set up a clearing account in your other company, you can use that like bank feeds to get all those transactions in as well. So import them in the same way you would bank feeds rather than doing all of your data entries. Pretty handy for your intercompany loans. Reconciling your debtors and creditors. So if you've been using another product and you're used to the reconciliation that they have for debtors and creditors for the reports, you can recreate those in QuickBooks. It's just a little bit of a workaround, but you have your aged receivables and aged payables. So normally on your recommended screen, you can run your aged payable summary, get your total, and obviously reconcile that back to your balance sheet as well. So make sure you've got your total here for your debtors. And if you are using multiple currency, you will have your US dollar amount on your balance sheet, US dollar or whatever foreign currency that is, in Australian value on your balance sheet. So just getting this amount here for your age summary, run your balance sheet again. Again, I would normally have two screens up on here running these, or I've got my checklist that I'm going to report that back, making sure my accounts receivable match up. Mine is my demo company, which is way out of whack. This is my age receivables here, and I've probably got my date wrong. Let me just check my date for. Oh, I had my age payables. That's why it doesn't match up. Let's do my age receivables. As at today, and then my balance sheet. I've actually just go back and do that as at today, because I've got a lot of future dated ones in here as well. Again, this is a really ugly file, so don't look at any of my numbers. They're not going to look too great on here. So that's my, reconciling back to that. And I can't tell you why that's different. Again, as I said, it's an ugly file. I'm just going to run that again and see why, actually. There's some things future dated in there. Anyway, to run your accounts receivable and reconcile that back to your balance sheet. The same with your accounts payable, running your accounts payable summary here and reconciling that back to your balance sheet. Writing off bad debts. We have in our accountant tools writing off invoices. I wouldn't recommend using this to write off your bad debts. It doesn't actually work very well with your GST, but I would use this to write off. There's my problem right there, my invoice going back to 1988. I would say that that's my problem. I've just found it with that report. The writing off your invoices works really well if you've got those invoices hanging around that have got balances of 1 or 2 or 5 cents. You can come in here, select all of those, maybe put in an amount, so the balance due less than 10 cents it might be. Select that there. All of those accounts will come up. You can select all those here and then write off the account, and here you might select a rounding account to get rid of those 1 and 2 cent invoices. So I would use that for this, but to write off your invoice as a bad debt, you would need to go into your sales center, come to your products and services and create a new service for bad debts. So I've got one here, and I categorize these under my admin expenses and fees. So if I come in and edit this on my bad debts, I've got that going back to, it says income account here, but I've actually got that going back to my bad debt account on my expense, on my profit and loss under my expense there. So then I would just go in and create an adjustment note for that client that I'm writing off that debt, to come in, create the adjustment note, depending on who it's for. And I'm just going to actually do this. Get this back up. We'll just pick one that we're going to write off. On my report again. Age receivable. So we should pick that one from 1988. It is not coming up in here. Oh, there she is. It is coming up. All right, so we'll write this one off. It's definitely a bad debt. It's a huge one as well. So it's $234,012. So I'd go in and create a credit note for an adjustment note for Linda Higgs. Remember that amount. I spelled that wrong. And there she is, yep. So this will be my bad debt and my amount. I'm not going to get into, if you're on accrual or if you're on cash, I won't get into any of that. I'm just going to select mine with the GST value here, and I'm just going to save and close that. So I've created my adjustment note, before the 30th of June. I'm just going to save and close that. And then so to apply that now, I would just go into the customer account to receive payment. So receive payment for that. And might be my technological issues. I can't say it again. Something not coming up there, which is a bit weird. I think it's it's probably today my Chrome issue, or I picked the invoice that's way too old. Let me just go in, and I'm just going to go in to Linda and fix this, because I've only got 50 minutes. That's why these issues are coming up today. So I won't be able to. Let me just find her. I should have picked another invoice. Just going to change this to. There we go. Let's try that again. Okay, so I'm going to go in and receive the payment. Wrong screen. And I've just realised what's going on there and why that's not doing it, because I have my settings from my last company My last demo, I have my settings here set to automatically apply credit. So that's what's going on there. So I've got in my automation under my advanced tab, I've got automatically apply credit. So that just automatically applied that. If I didn't have that ticked, then I would be able to go in and apply that. So that's why that's not working, send me around in circles. So that's how you go in and write off your bad debts. So the same with your creditors, to go in and reconcile your creditors, just run your age payables, reconcile that back. So filling it out on the checklist just helps to not go back and forth, write those on your checklist. The same with your foreign currency debtors. So they'll come up, if you run your balance sheet, you'll have your foreign currency debtors come up on your balance sheet separate, and then you can just go in and check those foreign currency amounts. If you need to go back and recalculate your foreign currencies, just up on your gear icon under your currencies. So depending on what rate you've got, if you're doing it at the ATO rate or you've got your FX rates, come in and edit your currency exchange. You can do it at market rate or do it at your rate if you're using the ATO rate, and revalue those. It will normally pick up the rate for the day. So back at, if you're doing a journal entry on the 30th of June or the 1st of July, it'll pick that up for that date. So it'll change that for the date that it was on that day. But if you need to pick up ATO rate, just come in here and revalue that currency. With your inventory, so a little bit different. If you did do these end of financial year last year with the inventory write-off, since then we have a new feature. We have the inventory quantity adjustment where you can go in and do your stock take. So come in here with any items that you want to do stock take. There is a stock take report as well. Come into your reports, under your all reports, and then your managed products and inventory. We have our stock take worksheet. So you can print that out to go and do your stock take, generate your stock take, create any fields that you want. If you need to add any to this as well, just export it out to Excel, and then you can play around with it and create a stock take sheet for your clients, or to go out and do a physical count, write those in, and then come back and do the enter in your stock take. So come up to your quick create, to your inventory quantity adjustment. We've got this set to inventory shrinkage. You might want to either rename that account or add a new account. You've got your adjustment date, and then go in and do your count. So enter in your product number or your product. You have that on your stock take sheet, what the new quantity is, and it'll give you the changes in the quantity and do that valuation for you. So if I just go in and pick up a product here, I'll just show you how this works. I've got 110 on hand here. I'm going to put in 100. So my change in that quantity is 10. I'm just going to save that. And if I come in now and have a look at my transaction journal, you can see the accounts that's updated for that quantity adjustment. I'm going to move these along so you can see that. So we've got the inventory shrinkage account, so it's writing off that $100 to the inventory shrinkage account, and it is also doing the credit to the inventory asset account. These amounts here, these two other accounts here, I think it's just because of why it's doing that to there is because of the sub account of my product. I'm just going to go in and have a look at that actually. Got two line items, not sure why, but yeah, that's the value of that. So you can go in and have a look at the transaction history for that. So that's reconciling your inventory. Moving along, we've got 15 minutes left. Just showing you now, if I run my profit and loss again, just where that comes up on my report, I've got my inventory shrinkage account under my cost of sales. I'm calling that writing off my obsolete stock. or otherwise, whatever you want to call that, but that'll show up on there. Actually, I know why these, I've got it running in the wrong year. That makes sense now. Losing my screen. Let's just go out. So here I've got my inventory shrinkage account. So I've written off quite a bit of stock this year. You can see on my profit and loss. So you can check your stock date balance as well. If you come back in and run a report under your inventory reports and manage your inventory products, you can get an inventory valuation, so either a detailed report, so it'll give you all of the history for that account throughout the period that you're running that for, or you've got a summary as well, so it'll give you your inventory valuation summary, and you can reconcile that back to your balance sheet. So I run my balance sheet, hopefully. Now I've got my dates right. My inventory will match up. So I've got a few sub accounts as well with my inventory. I've got my dates right. Well, I was going crazy. Try again. Just do this manually. So there we go, there's my my inventory here, and I can match that back. So I've got some sub-accounts of my inventory. So my total inventory is 180,000, which reconciles back to my inventory valuation report. So you can have sub-accounts and then have that total up, or just have your one inventory account that you're mapping your accounts back to. Okay. Going to so any other reports, you can customize the reports to suit yourself. There's, as I was saying before, normally in another program, a report that you may have used is the supplier list, supplier balance to get your GST amounts to reconcile back if you're using, if you're reconciling your balance sheet back to your GST accounts for your debtors and creditors for the GST amounts. So you can just change those fields. So add in a tax field for your supplier account on your little cog on your report. Click on the show more, and then actually this one is this one already giving me my tax amount? There is a, can't see it for looking today. Go back to my report. Might be my unpaid bills. Get the right one. The tax amount, there we go, I had the wrong report. So you can add in your tax amount there, and then you've got your the total amount of GST outstanding. You can do the same thing with your debtors as well. You just need to export that into your into Excel. So if I go into my accounts receivable, remember which one this is, so my collections report, I think it is. Add in my tax amount, go on report, I'll find the right one. So there is a report in your debtors that I can't put my finger on right now, with the, where you can go in and get your tax amount from there as well. Just adding in the field with the tax amount. Just export. It won't add up for you the same way that the it's the same way that the suppliers one does. But if you export that into Excel, you'll be able to add that up with your tax amount. Let's have a play around with those reports in there, and it'll give you your tax amount. And I'm going to keep moving along because we've got 10 minutes left and too much webinar to get through. So it's providing some information to your accountant as well. So, obviously on your checklist, the things that you want to make sure of is that you've got your, any assets that you purchased during the year. Make sure that the copies of the invoices are attached to those. So in my reports, I just create some reports for my for my accountant to review. So I've got my transaction detail by account here, and if I run that report, I've just got that filtered to, or I can filter that to just my assets. So if I come into my customize and filter that to my distribution account, and I might just pick up any assets that I've bought throughout the year, or my motor vehicle, my motor vehicles at cost, or plant and equipment at cost. Just pick up that, run the report for all of those transactions, and make sure. So maybe on my vehicles here, run that just for my vehicles. And make sure that I've got I haven't bought any vehicles, make sure that I've got my, all of the copies of the invoices attached to those transactions. I didn't buy any, so yeah, go in, or through your balance sheet as well. You're running your balance sheet, you'll have that on your balance sheet. You can create that exact same report from your balance sheet. So if I come into my balance sheet here, and pick up my motor vehicle, so I do have one here. Run a transaction history for that. Might just change that to all dates, might help. I've got my vehicle there, and just make sure that I've got my the copy of all of the details attached to that that motor vehicle there for the accountant. So you can create some for the accountant review, and just let him know as well, or her, that you've got a tab in there for all the reports for them to run, to go in and check for their review. And the same with your clients. So go in and create some reports for your clients. You might want to run a copy of their director's loan account and get them to go in and check all of their transactions, that they've, drawings or loan account. Create that report, save that report. So any transaction you drill down into, just save that customization and save that in their report set for them to go in and run those reports and check them. Okay. Your payroll, so reconciling your payroll, if you're using payroll and KeyPay, come into your employee tab. I find the easiest report to run is just when it pops up. Just a detailed activity report, so run that for your period. That'll give you your gross wages, your PAYG, your super, to last financial year. And obviously, just the normal checks that you do, reconciling this back to your profit and loss, making sure that your gross earnings here are matching back to your profit and loss, depending on how many gross wages accounts you have, and then making sure your payroll clearing account is 0. And I find also the easiest way to check on your payroll clearing account, mine, which is huge at the moment, the easiest way is just to have your two screens open. Or say on your balance sheet, have your payroll clearing account open and just check the transactions, pay run to pay run, and see where that difference. So you want to make sure that this is coming back to 0 at the end of each week, or pay period, I should say. Okay, now we've got 5 minutes left, so I'm going to jump into the more important stuff, the payment summaries. So you can electronically lodge your payment summaries through KeyPay. What you'll need to do if you haven't done in the past is go into your Access Manager through your portal, so through either your BAS agent or your tax agent portal, and just add that, add KeyPay in for the, I'll just show you where that is. So on your payroll settings, on your ACO supplier settings, and down the bottom here you have your electronic lodgement and your software provider. So this is your cloud software authentication and authorization. You've got a number here, so you need to go into your Access Manager through your portal and add this software ID, and then come back in and turn this electronic lodgement on for you to be able to, one, lodge your tax file declarations electronically with the ATO, and then also lodge your payment summaries. So to lodge your payment summaries, it's just on your Reports tab, over to your payment summaries, and then go through the process. Now, if you saw on my screen, so all my payment summaries coming up here, I can email those all of those out. So I can publish my payment summaries, and then lodge it electronically as well. Create my MG file if I'm going to lodge it through my portal, or lodge it here electronically too. You can see on my screen here we've got the KeyPay are holding a webinar as well for end of financial year. There's a end of financial year guide also, so you can check their website if you want some more information on end of financial year with KeyPay. The handout that we will have for this will go through, you know, reconciling your accounts on a cash or accrual basis, some reports to create for reconciling your or checking all your GST accounts, and also your BAS, reconciling your BAS and the reports to run. And I've just got a bit of a, if you don't already have one, so this is the handout that you will get. If you don't already have some kind of reconciliation process for your BAS, just a little spreadsheet that you can come up with in here somewhere. It'll be on this handout anyway, so that there's just a spreadsheet that you can come up with to check your numbers back to QBO and also to your portal or wherever you're lodging your where you're lodging your BASs through, just to go back and do a double check. In here somewhere. So this is the handout that you can get anyway at the end of this session. I don't think we're going to have any time for questions. So hopefully they're being answered as we go. The other thing just to mention as well, your superannuation, reconciling your superannuation, just running that detailed report. So your detailed report through here, the detailed activity report, reconciling that back to your profit and loss, and also your balance sheet for your clearing account. And rolling over, so starting a new financial year, so there is no rollover in QBO. You just keep going, so you'll have as many years as you can. There's no purging, there's no rolling over. If you do want to have some kind of backup, that would just be creating a report set, and you might want to get in the habit of that, you know, doing that monthly, or but just creating a report set of all of the different reports that you want as a type of backup. But these end of financial reports will be your backup. So yeah, there's no need to roll over your payroll. There's no need to update your tax file. The new tax file codes, they'll all do that automatically through KeyPay. That's all done. Yeah, it's just, you just keep going for the first of the month. Get your payment summaries done as soon as you can and lodge those, and you're right to go. Also with your TPAR as well, so if you're in the building and construction industry, and also it's about to start with the cleaning industry and also couriers. So I think that's from 2018. You'll need to start reporting on that. So make sure you go, if you do have those kind of clients, come in and turn on your TPAR. So on your gear icon under your company settings, to your supplier tab. Just tick here that you want to show TPAR options for your suppliers, and then you can go and create your reports for either your building and construction at the moment and lodge those as well. So just create your reports for those in your report tab. And under your all reports and then manage taxes, you've got your TPAR report here. This will tell you as well, in taxable payments annual report, what information you need to get from any suppliers if you don't have all of the information. And that's our time. Time's up. Time's up, still need to do survey. Okay, so I still need to do the survey, so I'm just going to click over to my survey. Bear with me one sec. Get my survey up. So this is the last survey. I think Jessica, Jessica just launched that. So if you're still around, if you can answer those poll questions, that would be awesome. So this is what's your comfort level at the end of this session with this topic. So hopefully you got a little bit out of it, and as I said, there'll be a handout at the end with a lot more information, the blog with a lot more information, and the checklist will be available as well. So we're just going to end that last survey. So thanks again, everyone, for attending our first webinars with our conference. We're doing advanced certification today as well. So if you haven't already booked into that and you want to do that, we've got 2 sessions going today, and also just the normal certification as well. So which Loretta Finnis is doing this afternoon too, or starting off soon. So yeah, thanks again. I think the webinar will end now, and I'll hopefully catch up with you in the networking room. Thanks everyone. Have a great day.